Welcome to the Life Worth Wasting podcast, first annual Spooktacular. I am your master of ceremonies, Count Devo, and I am joined by my faithful manservice, Bobenstein.
What's up?
All right, I'm very excited. I've been put a lot of work into these 4 episodes. My goodness, this has been 2 months in the making. Halloween, Bob, as you know, is my favorite time of the year. And now that we have this wonderful podcast, I can express it to the world of the 3 people who listen to this. Corpse Party. Bob, have you ever had any previous experience with Corpse Party in any of its other iterations? The manga, the anime, the video games, anything?
No, none.
None, okay. I have been hearing about Corpse Party for, God, almost a decade and a half now. Well, not about a decade and a half, about a decade. I had originally watched this when it first came out, but that was back in the day where I was just skipping through most anime. Like, I wasn't listening it with the audio on. I was just skipping to scene, not really digesting what I was watching. So, having rewatched this, man, it was a different experience. Got some scary shit, man. Some real scary shit. So, before we jump in, I do want to let everybody know that after the show, stay tuned for the return of Salty Story Time on the making of the announcement video for this Spooktacular. Alright, on to episode 1. We open on a school as a girl wakes up finding herself on the floor of an old abandoned school. She doesn't recognize this school. Nearby, she locates her ID with a small piece of paper on the inside. She just to remember the events that led up to her current situation. Her friends were telling ghost stories in their classroom after hours. The tale of a teacher who fell down the stairs to her death. The school was closed down after several children were killed, and the headmaster threw himself off the roof in grief. The ghost of the teacher haunts their school, and when the school goes dark, you'll hear 2 knocks at the door slowly open to reveal a chalky white face. I thought this was actually kind of interesting because I was like, the whole time she's telling the story, I'm wondering is this going to be the events of the show? I mean,
What do you mean?
Like, is this the story of everything that's about to happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like the ghosts that are going to be haunting them soon in these next couple episodes. Is this going to be the story of those ghosts? Is this related directly? Which it is. So hearing this tale at the beginning of the episode is kind of already spoiling most of the mystery, which is kind of disappointing, frankly.
It doesn't give you all of the story, though.
Not all the details, but the gist of it. The story is interrupted by a knock on the classroom door. A breeze blows out their candle, the only source of light in the room. The children cower in fear as the door opens. The classroom lights are turned on by their teacher coming to check on them. I think that was pretty much a given that was going to happen. Oh, and I forgot to point out, if anybody hasn't already noticed, our friendly, zombified manservant Bob has come down with a case of the cancer AIDS and is a little sluggish today.
It's the space AIDS.
The space cancer AIDS?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we cut to Satoshi grabbing a massive pair of tits that shrink in the next shot. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't.
No. The teacher asks if the kids are ready to go home, and how Satoshi's little sister Yuka has come to bring him an umbrella. Naomi is told by her friend Seiko that is it Seiko or Seiko? Seiko?
I think it's Seiko.
That she shouldn't be so nice to Yuka because she's Naomi's biggest competition for Satoshi's love. This is Japan's weird, creepy thing where someone's love and affection romantically can be tunneled into your little sister and not the other females in your life, which is creepy and weird.
Take Arrow manga, for example.
First off, there's not enough hard drive space on this for me to read off every anime that has weird sister incest.
That's the most relevant one lately, though.
Let's see. Yumi pulls out a paper doll she refers to as a happy Sachiko. She says that she bought it off the dark web for a ritual of friendship that will link them all together forever, because their friend is moving soon and will be attending another school. Their teacher offers to chaperone a trip to visit her over their school break. The ritual begins with Ayumi, who explains that they'll all have to chant Please Sachiko 9 times. Then each grab a section of the paper doll, ripping it at the same time. Suddenly, the room begins to shake. The teacher tells everyone to hide under their desks for safety. The floor opens up, consuming everyone as they fall into darkness. I love the reaction of, oh, clearly this is just a coincidental earthquake. Children, hide under your desk for safety. Unsure of the whereabouts of their other friends. Wait. Oh my god, what the fuck? Oh, there we go. Something got rearranged here. Sorry, folks. We rejoin Naomi, having relived the events of the ritual. She looks over her surroundings. She sees Seiko, still unconscious nearby, and rushes to shake her awake. Unsure of their whereabouts, or the whereabouts of their other friends, they attempt to find an exit. Naomi wonders how they ended up in a different school. Seiko believes that they may have been abducted and brought here. She is excited by the idea of being on the news. She then tries to play this off as a joke. I don't think she was joking. I think she was being completely serious in that moment.
I agree.
As they wander the halls, Seiko notices Naomi limping. Naomi thinks she may have sprained her ankle. If I fell through a ceiling onto another floor, I probably would have done much worse to my leg than sprained an ankle. Having actually in my lifetime fallen through a floor, thankfully not all the way through the floor, but, halfway through the floor. Near a restroom, Seiko says that she needs to poop, and asks Naomi if she has any ass cream for her itchy balloon knot. Thankfully, Naomi has some in her pocket of her skirt. Did this weird you out at all?
Yeah, I was kind of curious why the fuck she needed ass cream.
And why does Naomi have ass cream in her skirt?
Yeah.
Do Asian people not know how to wipe properly or something? Causing them to carry around ass cream all the time?
Yeah, I was very curious about this.
Is this an Asian thing? I don't know. Later, the two come to the school entrance, where they notice that all the shoes belong to small children. We get a really forced character building moment for Seiko. She explains how, her mother's gone, and she has to raise her 2 young siblings, and how she has to hurry home to make dinner for them. These two are way too calm and not dealing with the severity of their situation. I mean, fucking TV ghost chasers at least, know how to fake it.
Yep.
They can't seem to be able to get the door open to the outside and decide to find a bed so they can take a nap. I don't think I would be wanting to nap in a situation like this, Bob.
I don't think anyone in their right mind would.
Yeah. At the nurse's office, Seiko wraps Naomi's ankle. The two then lie next to each other for a while, in the same bed, lovingly. Seiko sits up and says that she must have left her piece of the paper doll in the restroom, and she is going to go retrieve it, leaving Naomi alone in the nurse's office.
Yep, splitting up, that's the best idea.
Let's just go through the list of possibilities. Let's say this is not a weird ghost school that they have transported into. Let's say they were accurate, that they were fucking, an earthquake happened, and then they were abducted and then taken to this abandoned school. Why would you ever split up? Ever?
They're idiots.
That is accurate. Soon after, the lights go out and Naomi's body is paralyzed, as a pen begins to write in a nearby notebook. This is actually kind of a creepy moment. I really enjoyed this. Just to say, the atmosphere in the show is actually pretty good. Also, the animation is fantastic. I mean, I know it's not hand-drawn, which really takes away a lot of the grainy effectiveness of it. But for being digital, I mean, it still looks really nice.
Yeah, it does.
Blood runs down the walls as a shadowy figure appears to be molesting and throat-fucking Naomi with its shadow cock. I was not expecting panty shots in this. This horrible horror show where people are being gruesomely murdered and we're getting crotch shots and ghost throat fucking. Slightly out of place for me. Naomi hears Seiko scream from outside, regaining control of her body. She struggles free from the shadow and runs to find Seiko. I'm gonna fuck that up constantly. She comes across a rotting corpse and is confronted by a little girl with blood pouring from her mouth. I refer to her as the little girl because at this point we don't know who the fuck that is. Seiko finds Naomi, which scares off the ghost, I guess. Naomi shouts down Seiko for leaving her alone and allowing this to happen. Seiko then runs off in tears. I totally feel for Naomi in this moment because I'd be pissed off too. I'd be going off. Like, why the fuck did you leave me alone in this crazy ghost school? Even though you didn't seem to have a problem with it before. After calming down, Naomi searches for Seiko. She finds the ass cream outside the restroom, which must have been dropped by Seiko. She enters the restroom, checking to see if Seiko is taking another shit. I love that the thing that the breadcrumb that leads her to Seiko is the ass cream bottle. She sees that one of the stall doors is cracked open with sounds coming from it. She opens the door to the sight of Seiko hanging from a noose. Geez, she must have really just not been able to handle running out of ass cream, you know what I mean?
Burning, itching, but the pain's the worst. I should have used
Preparation H Cream, the most complete relief from Preparation H. Pain relief on contact.
As Seiko suffocates, Naomi apologizes for their fight and goes to help Seiko by trying to pull her down, tightening the rope around Seiko's neck. Bob, you are uniquely familiar with this situation. Would you tug on someone who has a noose around their neck?
You lift.
You lift. You lift. Any person with half a brain knows you lift, you stupid cunt. Naomi then decides to try to untie the knot, which just tightens it more. With that not working, runs to a nearby bucket, thinking Seiko would be able to stand on it. By the time Naomi returns with her bucket that she took the sweet time to empty, Seiko is now dead. Ending episode 1. That was some gruesome shit, man.
Yeah.
I did not know the level of gore and gruesome violence that would be taking place in this wonderful show.
And it only gets worse.
Oh, yes it does. We see a young man getting his eye stabbed out by a small boy sitting on his chest with a pair of scissors. A young woman is slain by a small girl who is also wielding a pair of scissors. There's a motif here with lots of fucking scissors. A voice tells us that those who come in contact with the school are slowly driven insane, driving them to kill those around them. Once possessed, their souls are claimed by the school, joining the other ghosts. We cut to Naomi sitting at the feet of Seiko, grieving the loss of her friend. It is revealed that the voice belongs to a young woman in glasses with a 5-pointed star in her hair. The 5-pointed star, I know this is pure ignorance coming from me. What is the Satan star? Is it upside down? Is that the thing?
I don't know.
No? Okay. Because I know that in her hair is supposed to look like something satanic, but I feel like it was wrong in some way, but I couldn't put my finger on it. The young woman later meets with one of the other students, who I will refer to as Phone Boy, who is trying to bust open a window with the use of a wooden chair. He demands that the woman tell him the location of Mayu as the woman fades away. Her character looks strange to me. I like the appearance of this character. She just seems like there is a video game on PlayStation and on PC where this guy is possessed by like a ghost girl or something, and there's these two ghost girls. No, I'm totally fucking this up. There's these two ghost hunting girls, and it's the game where you like shoot your love at the other girls in the school. You know what I'm talking about? It looks like she's right out of that game. She almost doesn't fit. Her character design is so much more different than everybody else's, and that's all I could think about whenever I saw her.
Because all the main females look kind of the same.
And you know what? In an interesting way, though, I like that. Because it's subtle. The girls are quite different when you look at them, though. Because, like, Naomi is pretty standard, kind of tomboyish. Seiko has more of a rounded look because she's a little bit more chubby, and then you have a Yumi who is almost like gaunt. There's multiple times where her neck and her face looks very thin, but they're almost more realistic looking. I really liked it. We see
See,
Satoshi.
I had a hard time. Differentiating them until like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I didn't know who the
guess.
fuck was who.
Well, first off, we don't know who the fuck half these characters are until they tell us. I mean, a lot of them don't even get names until after we see them almost dead. We see Satoshi and Yuko reading a news clipping that tells of a horrible crime committed at the elementary school, a series of child disappearances that ended with the apprehension of a faculty member who was found with the bodies of the children. Okay. Satoshi wonders if they've been transported to the past into the elementary school, but believes this to be unlikely. Okay, Satoshi, I agree that time travel is very unlikely, but the alternative is that you're in a ghost school. Which one is easier for you to believe?
Aliens.
Aliens, okay.
Aliens.
A Shiba Inu in a UFO controlling everything with knobs and levers.
That's what she needed the ice cream for. Just to get ready.
Oh, for the probings?
Yep.
I mean, if Naomi was getting probed earlier by some shadow tentacles. Satoshi... Yuka tells her Oni-chan that she needs to pee. He takes her to a restroom where all the toilets have been destroyed except one where the door is locked. Now, the first thing I thought of is this the same restroom where Seiko was hung? Because isn't that the same stall she was in?
I don't think so.
Because I think it's the 4th stall down, and it's weird that they, have this one stall that's not destroyed and locked. It just happens to be the same numbered stall that Seiko died in, which would make them in a different dimension, which we know, if we find out later, is true, but almost in an alternate time in the school's history, which I thought was interesting. They wander the halls looking for another restroom when they come across Phone Boy, who is taking pictures of body parts and organs next to a wall splattered with blood. Phone Boy tells them that there are students from other schools and that have also been brought here, and this must be what's left of one of them. The other students he's come across were corrupted by the school and unresponsive to his questions. And like any good horror film, they all decide the best plan of action would be to split up. You stupid assholes. But honestly, though, I didn't trust fucking Phone Boy from day one, though. He was a creepy weirdo, and in a situation where people are being driven insane by the corruption of the haunted school, yeah, I wouldn't be around that dude. So maybe they split up because Satoshi was like, nah, this dude's a weirdo, and I don't want him around my little sister.
Makes sense.
We then see Ayumi horrified by the most terrifying creature of them all, the passage of time in the form of a clock. Her brain is being raped by the idea of getting old and pleads for Yoshiki to get her out of here. There was a weird thing in the first episode and a half where the clock would stop in the same position and the screen would tilt. Did you notice the tilting screen thing that kept happening?
No, I didn't.
No, it's very, very apparent in the first episode, at least. He turns to see a small scissor-wielding boy approaching them from behind. He recognizes him from the news article. What article? When did he read an article? We never saw him read an article. We don't see him with an article. But apparently all these students keep coming across fucking news articles about the history of the goddamn school. Which is a reminder that this is based on a fucking video game from a long-ass time ago, and I'm guessing we just didn't get to play that part, where he finds the item and picks it up and reads it. The boy threatens to kill them and then disappears for some reason. I'm not sure why he didn't kill them. He goes to kill Ayumi, and then Yoshiki tries to distract him, and he's like, whoa, what, you want to fucking die first, bitch? And then the ghost just disappears. Alright. The young woman reappears and says that Ayumi has potential as a spirit medium. They ask her what school she's from, and she states that she's been dead for a long time and how she came to the school looking for someone close to her. Ayumi asks her if her name is Naho, as the girl walks away. She tells Yoshiki that Naho was a high school girl that was a famous blogger researching the supernatural. She follows Naho to tell her that she's a fan of her blog site and how she bought the Sachiko paper doll from it. Yoshiki asks how to escape, and she explains that the spirits of the 4 dead children bind them to the school, preventing them from leaving, and how they would need to appease them. She believes that if the murderer was to repent, it could release their spirits. Yoshiki asks if their other friends are okay, and if she says that they were not able to help them because the school is made up of several layers of dimensions separating. I thought that was kind of a cool idea because it kind of plays into how the original game was one of those RPGs where you play as a different student at a time, and the things that you do as one student affects how the story goes for the next student. So them being in different phases of reality, doing things that affect the environment is actually kind of clever. I actually really liked that concept. Naho then disappears, leaving behind a doll. We then follow the teacher as she reads a news clipping detailing the murders of the children. She notices a nearby room lit from inside. She rushes to find Mayu inside, who is speaking with 2 of the child ghosts, who we saw previously stabbing people horribly to death with scissors, but are now quietly sitting, talking to Mayu. Not sure why that's happening. The teacher pleads for Mayu to get away from the ghosts. Grabbing Mayu's arm, the teacher is then thrown across the room by an unknown force. The ghosts stand up, grab Mayu's legs, lifting her into the air, giving us a really out-of-place crotch shot with camel toe and everything of this, like, 14-year-old, if not younger. How old would you say these kids are, Bob?
I'd say like 13 or 14.
Yeah, that's appropriate. The ghosts fly through the door, dragging Mayu's face across the ground. At the end of the hall, the ghosts phase through the wall, splattering Mayu against it. Holy shit. When she's getting her face dragged, I was like, oh my god, this is hard to watch. The teacher finds Mayu as a pile of organs as she's clobbered over the head by a man from behind, who looks like a zombie, I guess. Bob, does he look how you feel right now?
Yes, he does.
Okay. At the stairs, we see Phone Boy looking at a picture of Mayu, hoping to find her soon. Trying to get his mood up, decides to revel in the pictures of corpses he's accumulated through the school. Oh, that's nice. That's healthy. His favorite is the one we saw him take earlier of the pile of organs and body parts. The phone begins to ring, and he answers to hear a ghostly Mayu begging him to stop staring at her insides. He inspects the picture and notices that amongst the innards is Mayu's hair clip. That was fucking awesome. That is single-handedly my favorite moment in the entire anime. It freaked me out. It was gross. I was unnerved. Like, it fucked me up for a bit afterwards. That was great. Satoshi and Yuka find themselves in front of a bloody ghost girl. She asks them to follow her. She leads them outside. Halfway to the next building, Yuka complains that she still needs to pee. Satoshi tells her to go past all the corpses on the ground and pee behind a tree.
That's a great big brother right there.
That is very intelligent.
I would have just been like, pee in the corner right there.
How about you just piss right there? I'll turn my back. You just piss right there, because we're in an abandoned building covered in blood and corpses. I don't think you need to go outside and hide behind a tree. But I guess that would bring her family much dishonor. Yuka asks the ghost girl to go with her. She agrees, referring to Yuka as her sister. Satoshi says he'll be waiting inside the building. So he doesn't just let her go into the woods with a ghost girl. He then goes inside of the building. Awesome. On the way, he finds a school ID that belongs to another student that also contains a small piece of paper. Yuka is stopped by the scissor-wielding ghost girl, demanding that they give it back. Yuka screams. Satoshi turns to go back outside, but now the doors are locked, and the bloody ghost girl is with him, smiling creepily. Yuka runs and enters the building to find her brother missing. I guess she's now in a different layer of dimension because she goes into the same room he's in and he's not there. Is that what we're supposed to gather from this?
I assume so.
Ayumi and Yoshiki discuss the importance of the doll. Ayumi thinks it may have belonged to the killer and could help them gain the repentance. A voice begins to come from the doll, saying that it's sorry. Yoshiki, frightened, falls through a nearby wall. On the other side, he finds a small blood-stained bag. I was waiting this to be like Castlevania, and he just finds like a ham just on the other side of the wall. Like, ooh, this will fix my problems. The doll continues to repent the death of someone. Near Yoshiki's foot, we see a severed tongue. There are multiple instances in this show where I honestly felt that there were scenes missing. Because he falls through a wall. Behind the wall, there just happens to be a small bag. We don't know what's inside of it. He then stands up. We then see a tongue like 2 feet to the left on the ground. I never connected that tongue was in that bag until she asked him if that tongue was in that bag. Did you have any issues with her?
No.
The ghost boy appears, asking them to give it back. He then spurgs out, demanding they give it back as he chokes Ayumi. She reaches for the tongue, giving it to the boy. He turns into a real boy and floats up to heaven. Yay! Even though he's killed lots and lots of people, he's still going to heaven. I feel that all the tongueless ghosts should have some sort of speaking difficulty, but they seem to talk fine. If I didn't have a tongue, I feel like I would have a speech impediment. And none of the children seem to. Maybe it's because I don't know Japanese and they may actually have a speech impediment and I just don't notice. They decide to find and return the other tongues to the remaining children. We then immediately cut to sometime later as they have found the other tongues and have already returned them to the children, I guess? I'm glad we missed all that.
A huge plot point.
Yeah, we didn't get to play that part. Yoshiki says that the final ghost belongs to a girl named Sachiko. Ayumi is confused because the article said that Sachiko survived the attack. She believes that there's a piece of the story missing and they have to figure it out. Yuka searches for her Oni-chan and comes across Phone Boy taking more pictures of corpses. He says that this place can drive someone crazy and begins bashing the head of a nearby corpse, then decides to set his sights on Yuka, chasing her down the hall. She is then saved by a handsome young man that stabs Phone Boy in the neck with a knife. Big ass knife. Thankfully not a pair of scissors. We actually get at least one knife in this show. He says that it's a brother's responsibility to protect his little sister as he grins creepily in Yuka's direction. Oh, that's some good shit. Other than the complete nonsense, and I feel like 20 minutes is actually missing. Still good, scary, creepy. I love it. So Bob, I thought it would be nice, since it is my favorite time of year, that I tell one of my favorite memories from Halloween's past. So Bob, as you know, I spent several years working in haunted houses for different companies, different amusement parks and things. And I want to tell you of the darkest night. I've probably explained this to you about a decade ago, and I don't expect you to remember. So then we're going to tell the audience, and you can enjoy it for the first time as well. So the darkest night, it may be different for those who worked at different amusement parks, but at my amusement park, the darkest night was a night where all the tickets were half price. It was only one weekend out of the year that the tickets were half price. And a stark contrast happens on that day. The complexion of the park patrons darkens quite a bit. Thus the name Darkest Night. And for those who have ever worked in a haunted house, you all know that basketball Americans are the most satisfying group to scare, thanks for all their over-the-top reactions. Cut to every Twitter gif of a black person doing something. So, unfortunately, there's always, coincidentally, a horrible thing that happens every year during Darkest Night. Either someone's assaulted or raped or stabbed or something gets lit on fire. Bad things always happen. So this darkest night of mine, I was playing some mossy creature hiding behind an overgrown wall, where there was this pole that would allow me to like swing from behind the wall and swipe at people's legs as they come down through the hall. So I would like, every time I'd hear people walking, I would take like a small run towards the pole, and I would just slam my shoulder into it and get good momentum coming around that and just swipe at people's legs. And it would scare the shit out of the first like 3 people. And unfortunately, the groups are usually like 6 to 9 people deep, so the back half never gets to see it. But that's kind of how haunted houses work, unfortunately. So this large group of like skinny-ass white girls is being led by these 2 black guys. And I go to do my thing, and the first guy just throws his arms up and just falls into the group of girls. I go back behind the wall, and I start hearing this guy just getting really pissed off. And he's just talking shit about he's going to show this punk bitch, you know, aka me. He starts to rush behind the wall. I freak out. I kind of tense up, like I'm waiting for this guy to take a swing at me. But what I didn't notice is when I first saw the guy, when I went to go scare him, is that he's only like 5'8" and skinny. And I'm standing there in full costume, standing 6'3", 230 pounds at the time. And this guy went from, I'm going to get that bitch, to like, you know, hey man, you know, you just like kind of watch it next time, as he slowly walks backwards back into his group. God, after that, I felt fucking invincible for the rest of the night. Like, I wasn't intimidated by anybody. Afterwards, some of me and some of the other people, we were kind of talking how this was like the first darkest night where we didn't hear like police sirens. And I sadly found out the next day that on the other side of the park, some guys lit a bunch of trash cans on fire and some people got like burned, requiring the fire department and medics to be called. Which is, you know, is a sour taste in your mouth for one of my favorite stories, but as Halloween bringeth, it taketh away, I guess. Do you have anything to say about my story, Bob?
No, I remember it.
I'm going to toast my favorite story. I have some wonderful Captain Morgan's pumpkin spiced rum, and I'm going to take a nice little shot of that. Ah. Taste like October. We will move on to episode 3. We continue where we left off as the handsome man grabs phone guy's cell, allowing him to join the others by taking his picture, adding it to the collection of those claimed by the school. He turns to tell Yuka that everyone dies in the school and how they should spend the time they have left as siblings. And to protect her from the horrible demise, he'll make her death quick. The school begins to shake and fall apart around them. We find ourselves with Naomi again, posted outside Seiko's stall. Her phone rings, and she answers to hear a ghostly voice begging for help. The phone becomes clear, and she hears her mother's voice trying to contact her. The mother can't hear her attempts to respond. At first, I thought the mother could hear her, and when you realize that the mother actually can't hear anything, that was kind of fucked up. I'm washing down that rum with some sweet Guinness. The school shakes again, and the floor opens up, engulfing Naomi. There's a lot of floors engulfing people in this show. These motherfuckers would all have broken legs very soon. Satoshi reads an article that shows that the ghost girl he met earlier was Sachiko, but it states that she survived the attack, and he's confused why she would be haunting the school. He sees a nearby videotape dated just recently and a notebook with research on the history of the school. Yuka is being chased by the handsome man, and Sachiko points Yuka to a nearby room to hide, appearing to help. The handsome man is then bludgeoned by the man from earlier. There's a lot of people getting like their heads caved in by the dude, you know, just sneaking up on him. Also, what is he wielding? I couldn't see. I was watching this on a small screen. Did he have like a hammer or what was it?
I wasn't paying that much attention to him.
Alrighty. Yoshiki wakes up back in the real world. In his classroom, he finds Ayumi next to him. They realize that no one else from their class has returned yet other than them. Ayumi sees a rip into the other world from behind. One of the ghosts they saved steps out and tells of the day she was abducted. She says she was kidnapped by the school's retarded janitor. As you do, you know, when your school has a big dumb dude who can't talk, he gonna kidnap and molest and rape and kill you. That's how it works. That's the circle of life. She says that the horrors of the school will not end yet. There's still something unresolved. They ask if she can help their other friends as she did them. She says that the school is unstable and she doesn't have the power to do so. If they want to save their friends, they will need to travel back and solve the mystery. The ghost tells Ayumi that she can show her what she knows that has transpired in the past of the school. She touches Ayumi's chest, linking their minds. Ayumi awakes, finding herself in the body of the young girl the night she was murdered. The janitor is the one who kidnapped and bound the children, but the real murderer was in fact Sachiko. So on second rewatch, a huge plot hole just opened up in front of me, and try to follow me on this, okay? Sachiko's the one who killed the children. Sachiko had to be a ghost at this point.
Spoiler alert.
I know it's a spoiler, but everybody should have watched this already. So, how is the ghost in the real world killing these children?
No clue.
Okay, yeah, that can hurt my head a little bit. Ayumi returns and realizes that they need the real murderer Sachiko to repent to stop the horrors of the school. She says that they'll have to go back to the island with expected results.
We have to go back, Kate.
Ayumi chastises... What's the guy's name? Yoshiki? She chastises Yoshiki and for not wanting to go back, and then she goes and travels to the other dimension alone. Back in the school, we see that Naomi has fallen into a sexy ass shot for some reason. Just right up there, just every crevice, just right in our camera. She is then found by Satoshi. She then Baka hugs him. She does say Baka when she hugs him, right? I didn't get that wrong. I'm pretty sure she does. She just tsunderes for no reason at that moment. He asks where Seiko is, and she takes him to her corpse. Thankfully, he was nice enough to cut her down finally. She's just been there for hours. Naomi blames herself for Seiko's suicide. Sachiko approaches Yuka with a pair of bloodied scissors. Yuka falls back, pissing herself. She then runs to hide in the science storage room. This moment was funny and frightening because when Sachiko's like, "You smell of piss," I'm like, that's hilarious. But then she has this just maniacal laughter that just echoed and it just goes on and on and on. Like, this is great. Yuka takes the time to hide her piss-soaked panties in a drawer for some reason and comments how she now is cold. A sheet falls as a figure stands behind her. It's the handsome man who has now been turned into an anatomy figure with half his skin removed. Why? Did the retarded janitor skin him and then pose him in the science lab just for this moment? Also, he must have done that really fast. He then chokes Yuka as Sachiko watches. All the surviving students hear Yuka scream and rush to save her. Cut to handsome man stabbing a restrained Yuka several times. Also, her right eye is missing. I did not think they were going to brutally murder a little girl. I didn't think we were gonna... Outside of the three children who were bound and murdered, I did not think we were gonna see Yuka have that happen.
Yeah, I thought that was the worst we were gonna see too.
That was disgusting. Yoshiki appears out of fucking nowhere, knocking the handsome man's head from his shoulders. The zombie of the retarded janitor, no longer wielding his hammer or whatever, struggles with Yoshiki trying to stab him with another pair of fucking scissors. Why the scissors? Ayumi enters, and Yoshiki tells her to save the already good-as-dead Yuka instead of helping him fight off the janitor. Yoshiki gets free, getting a wicked case of red-eye in the process. He could have really used a bottle of Clear Eyes after that event.
For dry, red eyes, Clear Eyes is awesome. It removes redness and has an ingredient to moisturize. Wow.
That looked painful. He then tries to barricade the door to stop the zombie. He is then stabbed through the door, and his head is blown open from a falcon punch from behind. Intestines don't just kind of fall apart. I think whoever made this, for some reason, thinks that your intestines are like segmented, and when they leave your body, they just chop into pieces. They kind of stick together for the most part. I could be wrong, having never disemboweled someone. Bob, in your disembowelings of the past, did their intestines stay together for the most part?
No, they always come nice neatly into like sushi-sized pieces.
Ah, interesting. Well, I mean, it's good for cleanup. Satoshi shows up, and dinner, yeah. Satoshi shows up and runs off with Ayumi. Outside, Yuka dies in Satoshi's arms. Underground somewhere, Sachiko laughs holding Yuka's missing eye impaled on a pair of scissors. End of episode 3. Okay, Bob, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're on the last Whoa, are we back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
I don't know, connection must have dropped.
Alright, it looks like we're okay now. Alright, let's get back on track. Fuck, man, this fucking show's cursed. We open on a video recording of a man being choked by a shadowy figure. Our surviving students sit back in shock of the video they just witnessed. Ayumi reads from the notebook how a ghost hunter and his cameraman traveled to the school and were killed before uncovering the mystery.
Is this the axe that you used to kill 8 people? You want to keep killing? Push this axe on my face.
Ayumi says that Naho was a follower of the ghost hunter. Okay. She then explains how they'll be able to escape the school once they get the real killer's repentance and perform the paper doll ritual again. She asks if Satoshi and Naomi still have their paper scraps. Naomi, worried, grabs at her pocket. Suddenly, the school begins to shake again. Ayumi thinks to herself that if the notebook is true, Naho's blog is set up to lure people into the school, and rushes off to confront her. Satoshi and Naomi come across a door that Satoshi believes wasn't there before. He turns to ask Naomi and finds her digging through the pocket of a nearby corpse. The two then head through the door into the nurse's office. Inside, a ghost woman with a broken neck is writing inside of a bloody notebook. The ghost is chanting that they will not forgive him and will kill them. The two grab the notebook and escape the room. Ayumi asks Naho if she was sending people to the school for the sake of the ghost hunter. I'm not sure why she would do that. What does sending people into the ghost school do for the ghost hunter?
I have no clue.
She also tells her,
I don't think we've seen him.
No, I think he was the guy getting choked out in the video at the beginning of the episode, though. Because that was where the video camera came from, is because the cameraman was videoing him being choked.
I guess.
She tells Naho that her actions have caused the deaths of dozens of people. Naho says that she did it in the hopes to gain favor with the ghost hunter and possibly his cummies. Ayumi says that Naho must not remember what she did before her death, revealing to her a picture on her cell phone of corpses of Naho and the ghost hunter, telling Naho that she was possessed and responsible for his death. We see the video of her choking him to death. Naho suddenly goes mad, turns to ash, and fades away, leaving behind a scrapbook. I love how all these fucking people and ghosts leave an item behind. Like, I wanted every scene to end with, like, the Link opening a treasure chest in the music. Satoshi reads the bloody notebook left by the ghost woman that details the events before and after her death. Satoshi notices that 2 of the pages are stuck together and are unable to be read. They believe this woman to be Sachiko's mother, and how Sachiko must have been killing children so her mother wouldn't be lonely in the afterlife. I'm so confused by this. So I guess Sachiko's ghost cannot interact with her mother's ghost even though they're in the same fucking school. Ayumi confirms the story of the teacher in the scrapbook left by Naho. That's convenient. Satoshi and Naomi head outside, headed to the other school building, when they're stopped by a man falling from the roof. He says to forgive him before fading away. Satoshi says that he must have been the headmaster that committed suicide by jumping off the roof. The man then repeatedly hits the ground. I just stood there. I was like, man, if I was them, I wouldn't be horrified. I would have been like, can I get some popcorn? I just want to watch this for a while. The two enter the headmaster's office, which is covered in seals. He must have believed he was being haunted and was trying to ward off spirits. I feel like any other teachers or family members or parents that walked into that room would have been very concerned for his well-being, because that room looked fucked up.
Yeah.
Satoshi opens the desk drawer and finds a small bag and a pair of rusty scissors. The fucking scissors. Attempting to pick them up, he sees the memory of the headmaster digging up Sachiko's corpse and cutting out her tongue so she could no longer haunt him in his dreams, and how he'll come back to stab the corpse every time she does. So he is just corpse stabbing? He's the corpse stabber?
Yup. Stabbing the corpse with multiple things, probably.
Oh, well, you know, I guess you take what you can get. I mean, he's made plenty of holes of different depths and widths and tightness. Satoshi says that the bag must contain Sachiko's tongue. Ayumi is found by the teacher, who tries to comfort Ayumi for her guilt of causing everyone to be sent to the ghost school. The school continues to crumble. A piece of wood falls, decapitating the teacher. Ayumi then falls through another hole in the fucking floor. Question. She was bludgeoned by the janitor, right?
You mean the teacher?
The teacher was bludgeoned by the janitor, right?
That's what I thought. I thought he smacked her over the head.
Did he not kill her or skin her alive like he did Handsome Man? Did they just leave her be? That's odd. Satoshi and Naomi find themselves in the underground tunnels. I'm glad this school has underground tunnels. They come across a torture room with a cuff table, collars, and chains. Why is there a torture chamber underneath the school? Was that built after it became a ghost school or before it became a ghost school?
I honestly think before.
Okay. I'm almost wondering if there is like a side story to the Corpse Party universe where the school was already built on like a really bad location, which kind of caused the bad shit of Corpse Party to happen in the first place. Makes you think. Stimulates the almonds. They hear the janitor coming down the hall and decide to hide underneath the torture table. He walks in with the corpse of Psycho, putting her down and cutting out her tongue. He throws it into a bucket of like 100 tongues. So he's just a tongue cutter. That's his thing. He brings them to the torture room so he can cut out the tongue and then carries them off. He drags her body out of the room. Naomi then spazzes out and tries to follow. Why were you hiding if you're now going to try to follow? Satoshi chases after her and somehow loses track of them. He loses track of the zombie man and Naomi. Cut to Naomi in another room watching a TV for some reason and is glowing purple. Another one of those, is there scenes missing? Do I have a head injury? Did I fall through the floor? Ayumi awakens underground in a room of corpses and is found by Satoshi. The ghost girl appears and tells them that they must hurry and that their friend Naomi will not be able to leave until she deals with her inner demons. Okay. Satoshi asks what would happen if someone doesn't use a piece of the original paper doll used in the ritual to return. The scene cuts before the ghost girl can reply. So this is just more setup. Like, we have so much setup of Naomi losing her paper, Naomi trying to find paper in the pocket of corpses, Satoshi realizing this and asking the ghost girl. I mean, that's just a thread all the way through up until this point. Satoshi and Ayumi find Sachiko's grave with a janitor hanging next to it. I was so confused because is that the zombie janitor or the corpse of the original janitor? Is this zombie just self-hanging? Like he's like
I think
a Roomba?
that's the corpse of the original janitor.
Okay, because I was like, is he like a Roomba where his battery starts to go dead, so he goes back into like his charging station and he just hangs himself every time? Sachiko's ghost appears, stabbing Satoshi. They struggle as a different ghost of Sachiko watches. Is this fucking Silent Hill? Like there's a good Sachiko and a bad Sachiko? I don't understand. Naomi watches the TV that shows a recording of her possessed and being the one that hung Psycho. Naomi, driven by guilt, is further consumed by the purple energy. Do you really think she hung her?
I mean, yeah.
I just think I feel like this is like a weird manipulation or a lie or something. I mean, they do pretty much say that is what happened, but the events that were shown to us were just all lies, I guess. Satoshi, while being stabbed, tries to explain to the good ghost girl why killing people is bad. Yeah, that's what I would do in that moment. Back with Naomi, her phone starts to repeatedly bing, like a ringtone, text tone. She opens and reads tons of text sent by the ghost of Seiko asking to be friends again. That warmed my heart a little bit. I was a little sad by that. Cleansing Naomi of her guilt and the purple energy. We then get a long explanation of the events that led to the haunting of the school. How the headmaster was sexually assaulting the nurse, causing her to fall down the stairs to her death. She fell in front of Sachiko, and how the headmaster had to choke Sachiko to death to keep her from turning him into the police. The two ghosts begin to cry, uniting into one and passing on. Now with no more ghosts to prop up the dimension, it begins to crumble around them. The students rush outside and attempt the ritual. Why do they need to go outside? Is it because they're just afraid of like the roof caving in on them?
Well, if that was the case, they'd not stand under the fucking like little bridge thing.
Good point. Satoshi asks Naomi if she lost her paper because he saw her digging through the pockets of a corpse. He offers his and says that he kept Yuka's, so he'll be fine. I already knew something was fucked up by this because Yuka does not grab on to the paper doll in the first episode.
Yeah, she wasn't even in there.
No. I mean, she was in the room, but she wasn't involved in the ritual. They hold hands and teleport out. Happy ending. Or is it? Back in the classroom, we get a haunting scene of the two girls holding the severed arms of Satoshi. We then see the ID that Satoshi found earlier lying on the ground. Man, the way that this is shot in like the shadowing and just like the music, like I was like, this is fucked up. This is legitimately fucked up. This is like one of those things that happens in like an indie film that like scars you for life. So we are to conclude that Satoshi took the piece of paper that he found in the ID that belonged to another student and used that for the ritual, would cause it to fuck up miserably, causing him to be ripped into pieces.
I'm assuming so.
After the credits, we learn that those that are killed in the ghost school are erased from the memories of the living, driving Naomi insane. The end. So what'd you think, Bob, of Ghost
I liked
Party? Yeah,
I didn't like it at first, but it drew me in.
It's weird because honestly, the narrative storytelling is just complete garbage, and it is like watching the cutscenes from a game you can't play because there's so much shit missing, like connective tissue is missing. But on the second watch, once I realized what was going on, and I started looking for things like the candles that Ayumi was leaving, and like the bucket which was full of like Mayu's organs and everything else, I was like, wow, this is actually really intertwined and interesting. It got me so interested, I actually was about to buy the Steam version of Corpse Party because it's like $15 on there. And I started reading the reviews, and apparently the Steam version is the original version of the game that came out like 10 plus years ago, and that there is a modern version of the game that was released on the 3DS in 2016 that has like all of the voice acting from the anime and has all of the art from the anime. So I was like, oh, okay, fuck that, I'll go buy that. I went to I went to GameStop and I looked it up, and it's just like, oh yeah, this game doesn't exist anywhere. I went to Amazon. Yeah, this game, you can buy it used for like $140.
Damn.
It's a 2-year-old game, and it's already so out of print, it's $140 on Amazon. So, unfortunately, I went ahead and had to do the horrible, horrible thing of downloading a 3DS emulator. So I've started playing that. Interesting enough, the entire first third of episode 1 is word for word what takes place in the game. It is the game. So, essentially, this anime is the game without the parts where you play it. So it's definitely interesting. To find out, though, if you are interested in learning more about the Corpse Party universe, everyone says you need to look into the manga. The manga is incredibly long, and the manga details the stories of all the different possible playthroughs of the game. So there are good endings and bad endings and alternate takes on what happens, and the manga explores all of them. So I'm definitely planning on giving that a look. I did have a lot of trouble trying to find it online, so maybe I can eventually come across it. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on this wonderful, dark, and spooky Halloween Spooktacular! Be sure to join us next year for more horror. Say goodbye to the people, Bob.
Have a good Halloween.
Oh, the life I live is sad.
Welcome back to Assault Story, Bob's least favorite segment of the show. I will do my best to make it a short one, Bob. I know you want to go back to your grave.
Yeah, please no half-an-hour story again.
I will rush through it, I promise. So as everyone knows, I put together a wonderful announcement video for our Halloween Spooktacular. And for the video, I needed to have a Blu-ray copy of Corpse Party. Since I do not own Corpse Party on Blu-ray, I have it on streaming. I had to go ahead and decide that I was going to print out the cover art and just put it in an empty Blu-ray box for the sake of the video. So I load up my printer, which I had not used in 6 months, and the fucking thing's out of ink. So I was like, okay, fine, I need to go get more ink. I would want to go to the Walmart that's closest to me, but unfortunately, in the last month or so, a guy I used to work with at the amusement park from the previous story has started working there. And I prefer him not know of my wife's existence, because this is the kind of guy who, whenever a girl would walk by, would talk about how he'd fuck her, even though this guy clearly has never seen a pussy since his mother. I just don't need that in my head, so I just kind of avoid the place now. So I go to the Office Depot, I buy some ink, which is like, ink's fucking $60, it's incredibly expensive. I come home, load up the printer, you put in very high quality premium, paper that I bought on clearance once that I only have like 5 sheets of, put that shit in there, prints it out, looks like garbage, just streaks all over it. So I'm like, fuck. It's been 6 months since I used it, I'm gonna go through all of the calibration, all the everything. I run through everything, fucking thing still looks like shit. I spend 30 minutes online, and to find out that this particular model of printer, once the ink dries up, permanently clogs the heads on it. So you have to either replace the heads or buy a cleaning kit for $30, which you have to buy online and can take 2 weeks to get. So I'm like, fine, I'm gonna just bite the bullet. I'm gonna go to the Walmart, and I'm gonna use one of those like printing stations to just print my fucking picture, and I will get the fuck out of there. Because the way the printing station works, you plug in your phone, you print what you want, they give you a receipt. You take the receipt to the dude behind the counter, you pay for it, you go the fuck home. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I go, there's nobody working behind the counter. I get my picture printed, it prints out, there's an error. It doesn't print the receipt. I have no receipt. Fantastic. So I have to go to the electronics help desk and be like, is there anybody working the photo station? I need, help. And they're like,
at that point, you should have just grabbed your fucking picture and left.
You have no idea, Bob. I'm just like, okay, everything's going bad, but I got this. As long as I get my picture, everything's fine. They then call up the newly transferred head of the photo department. The fucking guy from the amusement park is the guy who now runs the photo stand. So thankfully he doesn't recognize me. It's been a decade, but I recognize his fat ass any day. So he goes, okay, dude, what the hell do you need? And I'm like, keeping it classy. I like it. So I explain that I printed off my picture. It says that there was an error printing the receipt, and I would like to pay for my picture. He then goes, wait, what the hell did you said happened? Explain that to me again. I'm like, fucking Christ. I go over it again. He goes to the machine, goes, oh, it must be out of printer paper. Okay, let me see your pictures. Because he needs to verify how many pictures I have, right? So he grabs my pictures out of my cart, flips through them, and sees the corpse party one. And he goes, well, you can't have that one. Pulls it out and rips it in half. Right
Why?
there. Because it's copyrighted material. And he won't risk his job over this. And I'm like, fuckface, if the receipt would have printed, you would never have seen my pictures. So this wouldn't have been an issue. But because the machine fucked up, you need to look at my pictures and then steal my picture and rip the fucking thing. So then I wait for him to leave so I can just print off another one and just steal that shit. Because I have an envelope with my other pictures in it that I've already paid for, so I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna print my picture, I'm just gonna shove that shit in there. It's like 67 cents, Walmart can deal. And this fucker hangs out and tells the other lady working electronics that he thinks I'm gonna do something, so he can't leave his station. And I'm just fucking seething. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna go to fucking Kinko's or some shit. Guess what? Kinko doesn't let you fucking print it either, by the way. On the way home, which I'm driving erratically because I'm infuriated, I hear a horrible noise of a piece of steel coming undone from underneath my car, jamming underneath my car. I don't know what it was, but it flew off into the street. So hopefully my car will continue to live throughout the holidays. So I, in a rage, sat in my home being like, I am not going to allow this to fail. If I have to buy another $200 printer to make this happen, I will fucking do it. But thankfully I had an epiphany that I could just use the wonders of technology to fake that I have a Blu-ray by green screening the motherfucker. So I took a piece of green construction paper, put it inside the Blu-ray case, and just edited the video post. No one can fucking tell, so I'm happy. And that's a Salt Story, Bob. I hope you enjoyed this one. All right, for all those who stayed with us, thank you. I'll see you around Christmas time.